Soy wax is a vegetable-based wax that is very commonly used between candle makers, and it's a wax that's specifically made for jars. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about so many things about soy wax, like its usage, its pros and cons, how to blend it, what type of additives you can add to it, and basically my overall feedback on soy wax in general. So I've been using soy wax for quite some time now. I've used it a lot in my projects for both jars and molds, obviously for molds when it was blended with something else, but we're going to talk about that later. But I really don't like soy wax, contrary to a very popular belief. I found out that it had more cons than pros, and we're gonna start by covering just that. So soy wax usually has two major problems. First one is that it has a very big tendency to have frosting and crystallization, which we will see right now. And the other one is I found out that it doesn't work very well with all types of fragrances. So regardless whether we use 7%, 8%, 10%, the hot throw is usually very hard to get with pure soy wax. Cold throw is not a big of a deal, but hot throw is a flip of a coin regardless of which brand of fragrance we're using. So yeah, we have that. Now, crystallization is also a very, very, very common thing with soy wax, and that's because of its natural behavior, natural properties. This is basically what I'm talking about. So if you can look here, you will see that there is like some white spots in the candle, and this is basically crystallization. That's when the wax is cooling down faster than usual, or when the climate changes and the soybeans are actually trying to go back to their natural form. This is a very common thing in soy wax. It doesn't mean that you've done something wrong as a candle maker if you got something like this. And this can happen in both jars or molds. Obviously, if you have something that's colored, you will see it much more than if you were not using any dyes at all. But yeah, that's something that can't be avoided. You will see a lot of things on the internet, like you can heat the jar, you can heat the wax once it's dried up all the way, you can pour at lower temperatures. You can't avoid it 100%. You can try to minimize it by using those things, but you can't 100% avoid it. So yeah, that's the two main flaws of soy wax really. And to fix them, basically all we have to do is make a blend. We will talk about the blends later down the line, but for now, yeah, these are the flaws. How do we troubleshoot these problems that come with soy wax though? Firstly, as far as scent throw is concerned, I recommend pouring your scent anywhere between 70 and 80 degrees. That's for a start. Mix it for 2 minutes. That's the general rule of thumb. Your fragrance load shouldn't be very low or shouldn't be very high. Anywhere between 6 and 9% I would say is ideal. So that's the three core pillars as far as technique is concerned. But then you have to focus on your wick. You have to make sure you're getting a full melt pool anywhere between 2 and 4 hours. If you're doing all these things correctly and still you're not getting a good scent throw, you should either check your oil, and if it's not the case, then it's probably the wax. That's as far as hot throw is concerned. Now, as far as crystallization is concerned, one way to help fix this or to help avoid it or minimize it, so to speak, is by doing two things. First is heating the jar. You have to heat the jar properly using heat gun or put it in the oven for like 2 minutes. I would personally use a heat gun. It's much faster, it's easier, it's convenient. You can do it right there on the table. And get it like a little warm. Don't go overboard with it. All right. And then what you have to do is pour your soy wax into the jar closer to the room environment. And that's basically closest to the melting point that the wax is at. So for example, this, once again, the Ascended by Osmosis wax has a melting point of 52 degrees. So I would pour it anywhere between 55 and 57. That's to match the room temperature or the temperature of the jar which we heated. Regardless whether it was cold or hot, it's best to pour closer to the room temperature. So yeah, that's basically how you can try to avoid frosting. And even if you got frosting and you try to use the heat gun on top, or if you had a clear jar and you're just heating the jar from the sides, even if, and trust me with this, because I've done this for one order that was basically 400 candles with a colored candle. It was a frosted jar. It was purple color. So all the frosting and all the flaws would be very obvious. So I spent all night basically heating the jars all over again, and then I woke up the next day and the problem was even worse. So even if you heat the wax on top when you have crystallization, you're going to be doing more damage than any good. So yeah, that's basically how you can troubleshoot those two problems. Anyways, as far as the pros are concerned, there aren't many, I would say. One of the main ones is that it's widely available and there are so many kinds. You have the C3, you have the S100 by All Seasons Wax Australia, you have 464. There are so many waxes out there that are basically pure soy, and they're fairly decent for waxes for a natural option if you're looking for one. But to me, I found that the cons outweigh the pros for soy wax, so that's why I don't tend to use it. Now, as far as the blends are concerned, I found out that mixing soy wax with two different waxes does miracles. One of them is coconut wax, and that's because coconut wax tends to have a very high scent throw because of its low melting point. So basically it balances out the hard to get hot throw with pure soy wax. So we can start by mixing 50-50, depends on the brand that you're getting. We can't have a set in stone rule. There's no proper formula. It really depends on the brand that you're getting. So I would start with 50% of this, 50% of that, and basically test from there. If the candle was still not getting a strong scent throw, we can add more coconut. If the candle was getting a scent throw, but it was melting very fast, and that's because coconut wax has a very low melting point, we can increase the soy wax and decrease the coconut. So we can play around with the way we want to. But this will not fix our crystallization problem because, as we said, crystallization is a very common thing amongst vegetable-based waxes. And coconut wax is, well, a vegetable-based wax, so to speak. So what we can do to fix this while maintaining a good scent throw is we can add some paraffin or some beeswax. Now, obviously, depends on your price point, depends on how you like, what's your opinion on paraffin wax. I personally don't hate it as much as the internet does, but obviously if it's sourced in a proper way, you have, for example, highly refined paraffin wax and you have industrial grade paraffin wax. It just depends on which one you're gonna choose. So we add like 10 to 20% of that, and then we can perhaps get rid of this frosting problem that we have right here. So that's basically three waxes that you're going to be mixing. So it's coconut, that's a base with the soy, and then you can add anything, either paraffin or beeswax, to help you with the crystallization and the scent throw. As far as additives are concerned, adding just wax is fine for beginner candle makers. We can add two main additives. So the first additive that we can add to the candle is UV inhibitor. And this is basically an additive that's added in very small quantities, 0.2 to 0.5%. And this helps us in preventing the candle from turning yellow or discoloring, or like if there was any dyes in the candle, to help it prevent it from discoloring as fast. All right. So this is a very natural thing. If the candle was exposed to light, direct sunlight, and obviously it will in real life situations, it will help it prevent from discoloring or turning yellow. That's UV inhibitor. Now, another additive that we can add to help us with scent retention and with some of the crystallization is stearic acid. We can add 1 to 2% or even up to 3% maximum of stearic acid, but you don't have to go overboard with that. So yeah, that's basically a formula that I would go with. Soy, coconut, paraffin wax, some stearic acid, and some UV inhibitor. And this will most likely give us a good wax blend. Obviously, the ratios goes back to what you prefer as a candle maker, so you're gonna have to test and play around with that. Now, just to have a quick look over here, as far as blends, I'm talking about there's multiple ways you can blend soy wax. You can even blend it in a way to make it mold. So this candle right here is made with soy wax. It's a mold candle, but as we said before, soy is a soft type of wax which can't be used for molds on its own. But this one is blended with different things. It has things like paraffin, palm wax, stearic acid, and so on and so forth, which allows it to be used for molds. But again, this is dominant soy, so we can still call it a soy wax blend, so to speak. So I'm talking about here about the A27 Performance by All Seasons Wax Australia. So this is also a soy wax, but you can make it the way you want, whether you want it to be for molds or for jars. For jars, you simply try to keep the melting point as low as possible. For molds, you try to increase the melting point to make it more robust and harder. So adding a higher amount of paraffin, beeswax, palm wax, adding stearic acid in there, all these things will help in making the soy wax hard and easily to be used in molds. Another wax, for example, is that PM7. By the way, this is not an advertisement. Another wax is that PM7 mold soy. And this wax is also by All Seasons Wax Australia, and it's also for molds. So what is the difference between these two soy waxes? They're both soy waxes. Well, one of them comes in like these beads shape, and the other one is like a flake. That doesn't tell much of a difference. But the main key difference is the blend. So both of them have a base of soy. One of them is focused more on paraffin. The other one has more beeswax in it. This has a higher melting point. The PM7 has a higher melting point in comparison to the A27, which makes it a harder wax. And it does have an anti-drip property. And this is something that we will cover in other videos. So yeah, soy wax can be blended the way you want it to, whether it was, again, for jars, for molds. But on its own, my overall rating for soy wax is a 6 out of 10. I would rather not use it on its own. It has a lot of problems. Crystallization on its own is a problem that I don't want to bother my head with. So let me show you right here now. This is a candle that's been laying around since October 2025. It was made for Christmas, and it's made with, like I told you, the blend that I prefer, which is a soy coconut paraffin blend along with some additives. And it does have some dust on top, but it has a creamy finish. And the cinnamon scent is still very strong in this candle, even though it's been there without a lid, by the way, not covered or anything, for quite some time. And the red is still very popping, and that's because of the UV inhibitor that's inside the wax. So yeah, if you want to use pure soy wax, it goes back to you, it goes back to your branding. But one thing about soy wax as well is that there's a very big wrong marketing scheme happening or going on around about soy wax. Now, it is the healthiest wax, so to speak. If it's 100% pure natural form, you can literally replace it with olive oil. But the wax alone will not make your candle very healthy. So many things are added into a candle. You have the wick, you have the dyes, you have the fragrance oil. And if you're using any of these elements in the wrong way, your candle will be toxic, even if you're using soy wax. So why am I pointing this out? Well, that's because so many candle makers come to me and tell me that, all right, I'm using a healthy wax, my candle is non-toxic, I'm using soy wax and so on and so forth. But that's not enough. Even with pure soy wax, even if you're not using any oil, just the wick and the wax, that's it. But the wick is bigger than what the jar needs, then your candle is gonna generate soot, you're gonna have like all this black smoke, you're gonna have the flame dancing and so on and so forth. That's because the wick is big, but that's for another video. Anyways, don't get fooled by all these marketing schemes about soy wax being the healthiest, and that's why I don't want to use paraffin and so on and so forth. Always test around, do your own testing, run your own thing, and enjoy the process. So yeah. Anyways, that's it about soy wax, I guess. If you have any questions, just don't forget to leave it down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.